You might know this scenario. Your Kafka cluster is processing 10,000 messages per second. Then boom, it hits 20,000. Black Friday just arrived and you have 5 seconds before everything crashes. So what do? Well, in my last video, I showed you that Kafka can now have more consumers than partitions. You can read more about that at Paul Brethner's article over here. And so today I'll discuss the 2 use cases where share groups save the day. For more videos about managed Kafka, Cassandra, OpenSearch, and more, then please subscribe or leave a comment below with your questions. Imagine that Black Friday doubles your traffic, but you have 100 partitions, which means maximum 100 consumers. KIP 932 solves 2 common Kafka nightmares. First is peak load bottlenecks, where your traffic suddenly spikes and you're limited by the number of partitions. Second is slow consumers, where each consumer starts lagging because of something outside of Kafka, like a slow database or backend service, reducing your overall throughput. Imagine you have 100 partitions and 100 consumers. Each consumer normally processes a message in about 1 millisecond. That means each consumer can handle roughly 1,000 messages per second, giving you a total system throughput of about 100,000 messages per second. Now, imagine that same backend system suddenly slows down. Maybe a database call that used to take 1 millisecond now takes 10 milliseconds. That means each consumer now only handles 100 messages per second instead of 1,000 messages per second. With 100 consumers, your total throughput drops from 100,000 messages per second down to just 10,000 messages per second. That's a 10 times slowdown, caused entirely by increased processing latency. But with Kafka share groups, you can spin up more consumers dynamically without being limited by partition count. So even if some consumers slow down due to backend latency, the system can scale out and maintain high throughput. This is an application of Little's law, that throughput depends on consumer processing time and the number of active consumers, not a hard-coded Kafka limit. So when we say 100,000 messages per second, that's not Kafka's ceiling. It's just the result of how fast your consumers can process messages and how many of them are running. So now, if Black Friday hits, well, then just spin up more consumers instantly and then scale back down after the sale ends. So there's no rebalancing needed. So you have example 2 of maintaining throughput with slow consumers. Here's what nobody talks about, the latency problem. If Kafka grabs records in batches of 500, at 100 milliseconds each, the first record processes in 100 milliseconds, but the last record waits for all 499 before it. That's 50 seconds of just waiting. So share groups fix this. Just set the batch size to 1 and every record processes in exactly 100 milliseconds. So let me give you some real world examples. Kafka Congo handles Internet of Things logistics where order doesn't matter. And to read more about that, you can go here. So let's talk about performance limits. The default maximum is 200 consumers per share group, pushable up to 1,000. And the in-flight records are 200 per partition, becoming 2,000 in version 4.1. You also get 5 delivery retries and 30-second record locks. And to read more about Kafka version 4.1, I'll put the link in the video description. So let's recap. 1. Share groups. They let you scale way beyond your partition limits, so when the traffic spikes, you can go from 100 consumers to 2,000 consumers instantly without touching your partitions. 2. When your processing slows down by 10x because a third-party API is lagging, share groups give you better throughput by traditional consumer groups by letting you add more consumers. And 3. In traditional Kafka, if you're processing 500 records in a batch at 100 milliseconds each, your last record waits 50 seconds to process. But with share groups, you can process every single record in just 100 milliseconds. So in closing, share groups solve peak loads, slow consumers, and latency problems. And so that Black Friday scenario in the beginning, well, with share groups, you can just scale up and keep selling. Want to try this out? Instacluster has a free 30-day trial, which includes Kafka 4.0 in the video description. That's it. Thanks for watching.